Hi guys, welcome back to the Blues Focus channel, and today I'm joined by a guest for the match preview, so a bit different, but should be exciting. I'm joined by James Kelly. How are you, mate?
I'm good, thank you. Yeah, thank you for having me on. It's I've seen all the match previews, etc. So it's really good content. So no, I'm happy to speak Blues. I think is kind of the main terms of what we're doing, and also to speak about kind of not having a relegation battle this season, which is good. With 2 games to go, is quite nice as well.
Yeah, 100%. And obviously, you've done a few things for Blues fans, which is always good. I've seen you do stuff for Blues Breakdown, kind of voiceovers for that. That was cool. But I suppose the main thing to talk about, the big thing you got coming up, is the documentary Second City Success. Tell us about it. Come on.
Yeah, it's a final major project for my university. I've graduated in literally 2 months, so it's something I want to do. I want to go into sports media industry, like other platforms do in terms of kind of what they produce. So this is kind of a documentary which highlights journalists, fans. We may a little teaser might have a few Blues players on as well to speak about what was a fantastic time in for the club and looking back. And obviously it was the 10-year anniversary, and there was obviously that hype in February, but I want to do a proper documentary where I can sit down with people and just speak about it. So yeah, that's coming at the end of the May, so do stay tuned. The Twitter, I'm sure you'll have all the links and stuff. It's at
Down below.
BCFC, yeah, at BCFC Second City. And yeah, so look forward to it coming out.
Cool. I certainly look forward to seeing it, and obviously, I'm pleasured to the fact that I've been able to feature myself on it, and I really appreciate you having us on for that. That was great. And yeah, no, I don't. For me, I wouldn't even be bothered if it came out in February, and I'll watch any Blues content. I don't think anything has to be out on an anniversary. I think the more effort you put into a piece, the better it comes out. The longer you put into it, the better it will be, more enjoyable it'll be. So it doesn't matter. It wouldn't bother me. I prefer things like that. More detail, the better. But no, it's a pleasure having you on, and I certainly look forward to that documentary, especially if there's a couple of players there too. But we'll get straight into the match preview then. It's a comfortable game for Blues for a change. You know, we've got nothing to worry about, as you said. It's refreshing. So I suppose this will be quite a relaxed, laid back match preview. So we'll start as usual. What to expect from Cardiff? I'll let you begin, James. Just what have you seen a bit of Cardiff this season?
I think it's a really interesting one. I speak to a few Cardiff fans actually on Twitter and things like that, and their season has been quite a weird one. Obviously, you talk about when Neil Harris first was at the club, and it was an absolute abysmal side. It was almost like one of the times where I was speaking to fans and they were saying this is probably not one of the worst 10 years in Cardiff history, but you know, I mean, it was getting to the point of it was really bad. Then Mick McCarthy came in and he's absolutely transformed the club, transformed the team, transformed the players, got Kiefer Moore scoring, which I'm sure we'll talk about. But it was almost like they were there in that playoff battle. And then ever since because they won, I'm pretty sure they won at Bournemouth. And then ever since then, a few draws have come up and then other teams have started winning. It's kind of fallen themselves out of the race, sadly. Their rivals Swansea beating them to that when they had a bad run of form recently. So you just don't know what it comes down in terms of the championship. But in terms of what to expect from Cardiff, again, without saying it's a nothing game. We're near the end of the season. They can't go playoffs. We can't go down. So yeah, I think they might rotate the squad a little bit compared to their first team, or they might want to get the maximum points that they can. So yeah, it will be an interesting match for sure.
100%, mate. Completely agree. And obviously, we'll talk more about the players shortly. But Kiefer Moore will certainly be one to look out for Blues. However, you'd like to think maybe it'll be a bit more of a relaxed Kiefer Moore, considering Cardiff don't have anything to play for now. Weird one, like you know, you mentioned Swansea and stuff. Their rivals. They obviously beat Swansea not long ago, but Swansea just had a better run of games, and that's the championship for you, really. I do what is promising is the fact that Blues are the form side going into this game. However, the reverse fixture. You know, we went. I think it was 1-1. Then we went 2-1 up, and then we managed to bottle that with like 10 minutes to go. But that was a Karanka side, so I'm not surprised. However, Sanchez scored a worldie, so more of that would be nice.
Yeah. And yeah, Morrison for Cardiff, to be fair. I think it was Morrison, the big, like, 7 foot. He's not a 7 foot, but you know what I mean? He's the big man. Comes and buff out straight in and just like, oh, God, here we go. So, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, it's. I hope it's as exciting as the reverse fixture was, certainly, but hopefully it's in Blues' favour this time. I think we deserve a bit of revenge, and we are the form side. Nothing to play for either team. However, it's certainly not probably going to be the side we've seen of late from Blues, which I think brings us on nicely to the next topic: what to expect from Blues. What do you expect from Blues personally coming into this game on Saturday?
I think I really like how Lee Bowyer said he wants to bring in the youngsters. As much as it's not a preseason game, it's almost a little bit like that in the fact of you're giving a new talent a chance to shine. So I'd like to see Amari Miller, Cosgrove. Like I think I read a fact that in total he's only had 11 minutes of playing time, and I don't know how many games that's been since his starting, because he probably lasts about seconds, doesn't he?
Yeah, literally.
Because I think we've got to think about injuries. I think, like Lee Bowyer said at his conference today about Hogan, he probably won't feature for the rest of the season because he didn't want to risk it. I'd give a lot of the players some rest if you can. Maybe keep some starters because obviously you still want to win. You don't want to get battered, do you? But you want to give a good run out of form in terms of some of the players. So I'd like to see Amari Miller. I'd like to see Sam Cosgrove. Those type of players, I think. And yeah, any of the bench, substitutes that normally feature as well would be quite nice. I'm not quite sure what's gone on with Valerie. It would be nice to see Valerie maybe, but I don't think he's kind of featured into Lee Bowyer's plans, unfortunately, before he goes back to Southampton. But yeah, there's a few that I'd quite like to see.
100%, mate. Completely agree. And I do think the loans are an interesting one to talk about because I doubt Lee Bowyer's going to look to play the loan players really. Considering that I doubt any of them are in his plans next season. The only one that does upset me a little bit on that sort of trend would be Raheem Harper. From what I've seen of him this season, I've been really impressed with him, and it's a shame that things have kind of ended this way. I know he had a few minutes against Rotherham when Terrell got injured. No, actually, that was Brentford. But yeah, no, it's just one of them. If we do bring him back next season, then that's great because I really like what I've seen of Raheem Harper. Same for Clock Sauter, not so much this season, but last season. Really like what I saw from him last season, but he's just not had any game time this season. And when he did, last proper game time or start I can remember is actually against Cardiff away, but he was played at left back, so he had a howler. Obviously not naturally a left back, definitely more of a left-sided centre back. Which although they might sound like similar roles, they're really not. So yeah, it is a shame for some of the loan players, and I doubt we'll probably see them again in a blue shirt, but hopefully maybe Raheem Harper come next season. But you know, we can't read Bowyer's mind really, can we? But good point about the young players. I definitely think we'll see a few youngsters, particularly Amari Miller, maybe even some of the other youngsters I think he's under 23s Welsh international Ryan Stirk. I know his name's been thrown about a little bit. Trying to think of a couple of others. Maybe
I think, like you said, sorry, in the last 2 games to go, it would be quite good to give the under 23s a go. Just a few of them, just to add, because if they get going and get moving, then they can prove something as well. I know we got Keandre Simmons, isn't it, as well? He's firing. He scored an absolute weldy, didn't he? In training, he wanted to post that one on Twitter, didn't he? But yeah, no, he scored a really good one. So yeah, I think the future is bright in terms of that talent that we've got in the under 23s, the under 21s, etc. What's his name? Is it Lascelles or something? That Spanish one that came in as well. Lados. Hang on.
I know the one you mean. It's a complicated name to pronounce.
Yeah, it is. But like stuff like that, we've got some good youngsters there, so it'd be quite good to see them feature. But also, we need to try prove something. Bowyer's on a good little streak. He wants to finish the season on a high for him as well, personally, and then he can relax and look forward to next season. So I'd still like to see your first teamers, if you can, in there as well, to have a mixture. So not just completely refresh it, but it depends on the fitness as well. The team have played constantly. Normally they've played 3 days per game. So to have that kind of rest for them would be nice to go into next season. No injuries. That's all we want at the end is an injury at the end of the season. So
100%, mate. And, you've got other youngsters like Aidan George, Jaden Reed, had a couple of loan spells that haven't worked out. I do think it's probably last chance saloon for a couple of those names. So they've been with Blues for a few years now. I know a lot of them are coming to the end of their scholarships as well. So I do think Lee Bowyer will look to chuck quite a few in there to go out and prove themselves and show fans and him what they've got to offer. But other youngsters that I'm certainly looking forward to seeing next season is players like Odin Bailey coming back. It's a shame, we can't recall him and play him now, really. But yeah, no, it's definitely a bright future of Blues. I feel like it always is with the youngsters. Obviously, there was that worry of the academy structure changing, but that seems to have been knocked on the head a bit, which is good. So yeah, no, it's exciting, but I'm certainly intrigued to see how we'll line up, and particularly if we do use young players, what shape we will use. Because I do think in these last 2 games of the season, whatever shape we tend to go with, I know we like to match teams, but I do feel whatever shape we predominantly use would be what we should expect for next season 100%, because like you say, it is a bit like a pre-season, very, very early pre-season. But we shall see. That does kind of bring me on to how the game could play out. So focusing a bit more on the match again. For me, I think it's going to be exactly like the reverse fixture, free scoring. I think both sides will have probably young players featuring that have got a point to prove, and they'll be hungry. And I think it could be a proper end-to-end, one of those classic end-of-season games with quite a few goals. And hopefully that's how it plays out. What about you, mate?
I hope so. But I also think that it might be the opposite in the fact of it might be not a scrappy game, but might be quite a hard game for them, because if they are youngsters on both sides and they're not used to be playing kind of in the championship, they're used to their development leagues and their development squads. It can be kind of hard to fit in straight away. You have to be a top player, and there are top players, don't get me wrong, to really start and then get a goal or and really make something out of it. But yeah, and like you said, it would be quite nice to get a few goals just for fans, I think, as well, to see these young players, etc. They are the future, and it gives them a chance, like you said, to earn themselves a spot in the first team squad. So I hope for goals, but I'm not so sure. I think it might be a 1 or 2 goal kind of game, if I'm honest.
100%. I do completely agree with you, because we've seen before in the past that, end of season games can kind of pan out like that. I think if you look back when we sealed safety quite well, I think it was with 2 games to go, or 1 game to go actually, under Gary Monk, when we had the deduction. Reading away last game of the season, absolutely boring, dull, 0-0. I think the only highlight of the game was Isaac Vassell missing a 1-on-1 with a goalkeeper, and that's it. So, there's always the potential for end of season games to play out like that. But I feel like if he uses a squad that have a point to prove, then we might see a few goals. Hope that's the case anyway. But we shall see. So that does bring me on to form and injuries. Blues, obviously, I think we're the second most informed team in the league right now, behind Bournemouth. So that's obviously always a good thing to be talking about before any game. So 4 wins in our last 6 and 2 draws, undefeated in, I think it is 6 games now, to be fair, 6 or 7 games. Obviously that Watford away, but they've just got promoted, so you can forgive performances like that. But actually we did play well. But that sums up our time under Bowyer so far. Whereas you look at Cardiff, they started really well under Mick McCarthy, and it was quite surprising how well they started.
Yeah.
But there's always a new manager kind of bounce with a lot of clubs in football.
I think as well, it was the Sheffield Wednesday loss.
Yeah.
To lose 5-0 to Sheffield Wednesday, which was quite weird, because when you look at Sheffield Wednesday now, they're absolutely absolutely grasping for anything. So that came out of nowhere. I remember watching it on Sky, and I was like, really? This is Cardiff? And that was one of the games where if they won, they would go closer to the playoffs, I think.
Yeah.
Ever since then, I think I'm looking back at the results now. If you excuse me, they've had 3 draws and 1 win. So Blackburn again, they were struggling, and again that they've had a mediocre kind of season as well. So to get a draw there, then Reading as well, another playoff kind of rival with them, and Brentford. So they have had a hard run of fixtures, to be fair to them. But I think ever since that Sheffield Wednesday game, they kind of came off the gas a little bit, and you so close to the end of the season, when you've got 4 or 5 games, you need to win them to really push. If you get draws and the other teams win, you kind of find yourself out of it. And I think that's what's happened with Cardiff, unfortunately.
100%, yeah. It's not quite worked out how last season worked out for them. And again, that was a bit of a new manager bounce, really, when Neil Harris came in. And this season, it's just completely turned on its head again. They've never really recovered since they lost Warnock. And, speaking of Wednesday, I actually backed them to stay up this season. I think they'll have the crazy last day away at Derby, something like that. Because I just think they are, despite quite a lackluster performance against Middlesbrough in their last game, I do think they offer more than Rotherham and Derby do, and I do think they can defy odds. Anything can happen in this league, so I do look forward to see how that pans out. But I suppose back to Cardiff, 1 win in 6, Blues 4 wins in 6, always great to look at on paper. And you look at the injury list as well. Obviously, we've got Hogan out, which isn't great. Won't see him for the rest of the season, like you said. But I tell you what, the Cardiff's injury list is a lot longer. They're missing players, 1 through suspension, which is Will Vaulks. They're missing the likes of Joe Bennett, Sol Bamba, Lee Tomlin, and Sean Morrison as well, who scored in the reverse fixture. So there's a lot of key players that are out injured for Cardiff going into this game. So I do think they'll probably will play a lot of young players as well as Blues. But I do think we might have a bit more of a senior squad, or at least a more consistent squad or mold going into the game, and hopefully that kind of shines through, because obviously you want a positive result in the last game of the season, last home game of the season, because we're still undefeated at home since Lee Bowyer took over, and hopefully we can keep that run going. But that does kind of bring me nicely onto predictions to wrap things up. I'll start with you, mate. What are you feeling for the game?
I know I said no goals, but I think I've only got two scores in mind, really. I think it's either going to be like a 1-1, it'll be a draw. Or if there are going to be goals, then we'd probably look at a 2-1. I probably would edge Blues for it as well, just because I know Lee Bowyer's form has really brought the players confidence. It surprises me how he's turned it around. I knew that once. Oh well. For starts, I'll be honest, I was worried that we wouldn't sack Karanka, and I thought we'd be in this position, unfortunately, near the bottom. So when that news happened, I was delighted. I was like, whoever it is, just get them in, get some confidence in. And when it was Lee Bowyer, I was like, he's the man, because when you look at it, like, he's had success with Blues are kind of his club, if you like. He's had success before, obviously, with the Carling Cup, etc. And he knows the club well, and he could get the confidence back in the players. And ever since it was from his first conference where he said, just get it back to basics. Just get the ball in the box, use your target man. You've got Juki, use him. He doesn't know why Karanka used him. It's just so nice to listen to a manager that kind of not speaks well. That'd be a bit yeah. I was going to say speak sense, but I'll say speak sense in terms of just having that kind of communication, the Blues fan, to allow them to know, because it's kind of quite hard sometimes to listen to how Karanka says, and obviously that happens as well, which isn't quite helpful as well. But no, I'm really happy with how Lee Bowyer's kind of saved it, and I really have some high hopes, but not too much of expectation. Just some high hopes to not be in a relegation battle next season. So yeah, let's go with 2-1 Blues. 2-1 Blues.
100%. I rate that, mate. Who are your goal scorers?
Oh God. You know what? I have got a feeling if Amari plays, I think he might get one.
So do I.
I really think, and I think that would really cement himself as there, because I think a lot of, including myself, a lot of Blues fans are like, we didn't get Nisbet on January deadline day. We need a striker. But if he gets the last 2 games and he scores either one of them, it's up onwards and upwards. And the second one, oh God, who am I thinking? I'm not sure. As long as it goes in, that's all I care about. It could be a corner. If Roberts plays, it's probably going to be Roberts, isn't it? You know what I mean? From a corner, just boof. And we score from a long throw as well, so it shows that does work. And on Roberts, actually, he's quite a weird player, but the fact of I like it how they do a throw in and he whips it in himself. He's got a really good cross at him. So yeah, you give that option, then that'll be good. But let's hope for a 2-1 win and hopefully close out the season.
Definitely, mate. I've absolutely loved Mark Roberts this season, which is weird because I tell you what, 3 years ago, I never expected myself saying that. I was probably his biggest hater at one point. I didn't like anything about him when he first came to Blues because he just looked so nervous all the time. He crap himself whenever the ball came near him. So I was concerned. I was like, how is this man a professional footballer? But if you breathe confidence into him, what a player he can be. And he's really proved that this season. So I actually voted him for player of the season. Again, another thing I wouldn't have imagined. But, I just think he's one of those few names. I think it's close, but one of those few names that deserved it for me. So I just thought I'd change it up and go for that. But for my prediction, I'm going to go 3-1 Blues. Going to be positive.
Ooh.
Want a few goals. Amari Miller, Cosgrove and Juki. There we are. Cosgrove to come on in the second half.
If Cosgrove can get one, that's huge for him.
100%.
That's because it looks like with Juki in goal scoring form at the age he is, he's still going to continue for the next few seasons, I think. So if they can get him as the talisman and then another nimble striker next season, it's going to be Juki, and Cosgrove's going to have that problem of, because you're not going to play, unfortunately, for Cos, you're not going to play two big men up top because there's going to be no pace. Yeah, I hope he gets a goal, because that would prove a lot for him as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's interesting because I really want Juki to bag at least 18 more goals for Blues, just so he can get into the top 10 all-time Blues goal scorers.
I saw that today.
Which would be unbelievable. I think it was Blues Analytics who posted that. So credit where credit's due. Really interesting to see that, actually, and I really hope Juki can do it, because I tell you what, he does get a lot of unfair stick from some fans, probably the more old-fashioned fans that just aren't a fan. But I think he's been a great servant for Blues. And you know what? Some people don't like his play style, but personally, I love it. I'm all for it. And Bowyer has utilised it perfectly, and hopefully we continue to do so. And I like Bowyer's comments about how he wants to mould Cosgrove over the next couple of seasons into a bit of a mix of Juki and Kiefer Moore, funnily enough. So ironic that we're playing Cardiff. So yeah, no, it's interesting, and I've liked, like you said about Karanka's comments, he was very much just critical all the time, whereas Bowyer seems a bit more of a man of the players, speaks for the players as well as himself. And he has been very openly critical of Karanka's style, particularly around Juki. And it's been clear to see, and I do think he's speaking for the players as well as himself. So it was clear there was a lot of frustration and disagreement with the way Karanka wanted to play. And Bowyer has just gone in there. He's put an arm around the players and let them play the way they want to play and play to their strengths. And what do you know? We're winning games. It is really that simple. So yeah, no, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the match preview, mate. It's been a great chat.
Yeah, definitely. No, I really do appreciate it. So yeah, thank you so much.
No worries. And hopefully I look forward to seeing what you got coming up next and all that, especially the documentary. I think you've got a lot coming ahead of you, particularly on the blues scene as well. I'm sure there's plenty more you can do presenting wise. And obviously I hope things go well at uni as well. So yeah, and I think many blues fans are certainly excited to see that documentary, including myself. But guys, please do.
The pressure's on.
Yeah, pressure is on.
The pressure's on to deliver
the goods. Yeah, no. So, guys, go check out in the description all the links we've got going on down there. And go follow, obviously, the Second City Success documentary profile on Twitter to hear all the updates and news surrounding it. But no, thank you for joining us as well. Follow James while you're at it. So yeah, we'll see how the Cardiff game plans out, and hopefully it's another Blues win, and we can kind of keep that good home run under Bowyer going. But we shall see. Anyway, keep right on, and I'll see you in the next one.
Keep right on.